In the book, Comey's in the book, Ian Kedeku in the book. Who else is in the book? McKenna's in the book, and I'm in the book. So, yeah, my mom is proud. Was anybody here for the CD release party that I did in August? That was a lot of fun. And there was a lot of instruments and stuff there then. And I've developed this saxophone fetish. And it seems to be working out all right. And it's, I think, is any musicians in the house? Musicians in the house? Players of musical instruments? For myself, like, when I'm playing djembe and you're in like a drum circle, everything makes sense. Everything. Universe makes sense. Saxophone. I don't know how it sounds to other people, but for me, it feels fantastic and everything makes sense. So this is in the book. It's called Ursula, written by me. He wails. Again and again and again, day after day after day, that thief on the corner has stolen a lifestyle that was never meant for him. He stands proudly, defiantly, openly, arrogantly on his urban garden balcony, surrounded by high-rise and condo and glass and concrete. This contradiction, this anomaly, he wails. Disrupting the pristine precision and the facade of high-end property in the midst of diplomats and ambassadors and embassies with audacity, he stands unabashedly. He plays flagrantly and growls dastardly, labeled as disruptive and obscene. That messenger that blasts sound to the sky above, he wails. He ascends and descends that pentatonic scale, and inevitably the perfect intonation, that meticulous melody of the internal exacting metronome, fails. He rips the steadiness of sound, he blows solar flares into the clouds and shatters the sky, he wails. Like the revelations that John said, he wails. Like bagpipes at the gravesite of the setting of the sun, he wails. Breathing deep and roaring proud like a giant making his declaration, he wails. Shirtless like Kuti rallying for revolution, he wails. Like a mother wolf who by the full moon searches for lost cub, he wails. Like Hendrix riding the feedback from the Marshall Greenback stacks, the delayed distortion of a crybaby phasing in a fuzzbox, he wails. Like Marley crying tribal to the people, he wails. The vibrato can be felt across the street, down the block, across the pedestrian bridge, and echoes into the canal. He bounces sound up and down the bland facing of his towering neighbors. He splatters them with noise graffiti, he wails. His hands curl like claws and clap the keys. With the secrets of circular breathing, he takes no break, he has no pause. The brass bell expands and gets hot, he wails. Louder than the church bells at a wedding, he wails. Louder than the Parliament building's midnight ringing, he wails. More shrill than the police sirens screaming in the evening, he wails. Against the subtle muffled sobbing of lovers lost in the streets of Venice, the maze of endless cobblestones and canals, streets unlabeled and shrouded in shadows, the endless labyrinth of streets too narrow to even be alleyways. But there are boats on the Grand Canal. They're calling their way from the distance. Beyond the churches and the museums, the echo that rolls like laughing thunder, he wails. It screams out against the silence of a sleepy city. It is the opposite of a lullaby. It rattles the ears and invades the brain and shakes the heart, a piercing frequency. When you hear it, you can see it. From the blinding bright spots of sparks of brakes dulling the rails of the train, the one arrives only to take your lover away, he wails, and suddenly stops. That moment when all hope is lost, when our loved ones have been put on ships and finally disappeared, the vanishing point upon the horizon, the mast, the stem, the sails, he puts her down and speaks her name. He wails.